Today we remember and celebrate the feast of St. Callistus. There's little, if you've been a traveler to Rome, you might have been taken to see St. Callistus Cemetery. Callistus was initially a slave, and at one point he was appointed to be the caretaker of the first cemetery for the faithful departed, and he was appointed by the Pope at that time. Lo and behold, Callistus became the Pope and continued to his ministry, of course, but with a devotion and care for the faithful departed. And that's why that in our opening prayer, we mentioned that special prayer that Callistus was one who took care of the death and dying, and we pray that through his own martyrdom that we can follow the call that God gives to each and every one of us. Here in today's gospel, we heard this phrase that probably is very frequently repeated in so many different ways. There is nothing concealed that will not be revealed. That's what Jesus says. Jesus dares to call out the hypocrites and the powerful liars of his own time. And the crowds, of course, were there surging forward to hear what Jesus had to say. His message is the cry of the poor and of the oppressed in history. His promise is the same promise that his mother sang of in her Magnificat before he was born. The powerful will be pulled from their thrones. The rich and the self-satisfied will be sent away empty, while God's, on a whim, will celebrate at the banquet of love. Exposing the complicity between wealth and power, Jesus faced the fury of the world, and we know that fury caused him to die on a cross, but rose again and reappears in every voice and movement towards the truth and justice, an unstoppable force for good, affirming that God is in charge. Jesus ends his indictment with a word of comfort for those discouraged by what they see as the triumph of evil in the world. Don't be afraid, he says. If God watches over the sparrows, the smallest of the birds, will not God care for you? Yes, we are like tiny sparrows, lifted up against gathering storms. But God sees us, and God will never stop loving us. Yes, my friends, that is the joy of the gospel. Let us take that gospel to heart.